Go this tree.
All right, right here's our first new one for the week.
First new one.
What is this?
Box elder.
Is it opposite or alternate?
Opposite.
Alternate.
Opposite.
Opposite, simple or compound?
Compound.
Yeah. Compound, so it's a madcap horse with compound leaves. What's that mean? Or dogwood. Dogwood.
Isn't it a part of the maple
Which
family?
one of these have compound leaves? Caprifolaceae. Maples, ashes, and dogwood. Caprifolaceae and buckeyes. Which ones have compound leaves?
Buckeye.
Well, some of them do.
Buckeye.
Buckeye. Are they palmate?
No.
No. What else?
They're pennate.
All right. Looks a lot like an ash. All right. We just looked at ash. It's not. It's a maple. All right.
It's a maple.
It's a maple. This is box elder or box elder maple, which is Acer negundo, 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 in the Aceraceae family.
Didn't you get one of them last week, Habib?
Box elder, yep.
Yeah. All right, pretty easy to identify. The leaves are pretty distinct, opposite. But if you look, this one, green twigs. We looked at sassafras last week. We said very few things have green twigs. This is one of the other ones. If you look, these things are very green and stay green for a couple years, and they'll go back. They will turn brown. Very common here along stream courses. You see this along waterways. It is a maple, so the fruits are samaras. Excuse me. They obviously look quite a bit different than what our maples did, but still, winged samaras.
So box elders are the only ones with them helicopter things?
No, maples have helicopter too, but they don't look quite like this. These are different looking. All right. We use box elder for anything? No. It's not necessarily a very well-formed tree. You can see this one here. We're growing here along the river. A lot of times with multiple stems, multiple things, but not a very well-formed tree. We'll have some specialty uses. The wood's fairly light colored, but some of the mineral stains and stuff that it gets, it'll be very bright pink. You get very bright pink streaks through it. So you will see specialty items made out of box elder, turkey calls, other things like that.
Must be fine.
What, these things right here? That's milkweed.
Okay,
That's where the caterpillars live.
Yeah, we got some caterpillars. That's milkweed. Questions on box elder?
Yeah, boy.
All right, so we passed a bunch of these. I just sort of picked this one. There's a bunch more of them around. But what's this one right here, the big one?
Big old American sycamore.
This is American sycamore, Platanus occidentalis. Platanus occidentalis in the Platanaceae family. This is one of the easiest ones you'll have to identify all year long. You look at the tree, you can literally identify these from a mile away because the bark exfoliates. They kind of get a camouflage sort of look to them, and eventually they end up white. You can look here on the ground. You can see the bark where it's been falling off of this one.
Like a whole limb up there.
Yeah, the whole limb. You can see it once it gets to the top. They start doing this, if you notice we walk back out, they don't have to be very big to start doing this either. The great big ones, a lot of times they'll be snow white. But when you see this, we can look up there, you kind of get a look at the leaves. The leaves are fairly unique as well. They do have a little bit of shape that maybe you could see as a maple, but for the most part, they got a pretty unique shape leaf that is quite a bit different than anything else we'll look at as well. These are getting pretty mangled, but you can sort of see here with the leaf shape of the leaves. These may be the biggest trees you'll find in West Virginia. The biggest one of these, the state record one of these, was on back fork of the Elk outside of Webster Springs. It was like 9 foot in diameter. All right, it was big. What's that? Yeah, it was hollow. Because last time I heard last thing I was in the news, somebody set a fire inside of it.
That was where the print
was. Now that was a Buchanan, but yeah. All right. What's the fruit on sycamore?
Shoot, I don't even like seeing this place anymore.
Sycamore has an aggregate of achenes. It just ends up like about a golf ball size, little packed in thing of furry seeds. And they start to dry out. You'll see that they'll start to disperse. You'll see the whole aggregate, and then sometimes you see the individual seeds. They look like a little tree, actually. The seeds do. All right. So the one other thing with sycamore. Anybody know anything else interesting about sycamore?
They grow next to the water.
They do grow by the water. If you look, you can see this area down here has been impacted by water over the years. There's a lot of sycamore. There's some river valleys, river bottoms, after floods. The first thing that you'll see in there is sycamore, and it'll grow up almost like grass. They get so thick. They grow very rapidly. They're fairly shade intolerant. They grow pretty quick. The other thing, nearly every sycamore tree you ever see has a disease. All right, sycamore gets sycamore anthracnose. It's a fungus that basically girdles the twig, but it never makes its way back to the stem of the tree, so it really doesn't kill the tree. If you'll notice the branching pattern on them, even this branch that's broke off. The main branch would have stuck out here, but the tip of it died, so now it's kind of took off. They've got a kind of irregular branching pattern. That's because the anthracnose will kill that main stem, and it'll go back to a lateral bud and continue to grow. So it's never really fatal, but nearly every tree, every sycamore that you'll see has it. All right. Do we use sycamore for anything?
No, not hardly.
A lot of water in it, very hard to dry, so not a lot. We will see it used for low quality uses, pallets, interior furniture, things like that. It is fairly pretty. It's got a lot of Rayfleck in it, so it is pretty. But other special uses, things like that, you'll find turkey calls and other things like that, crafts, things, woodwork. So it is pretty, just not used an acceptable amount of time. All right. Platanus occidentalis and the Platanaceae family. All right. Questions on sycamore? All right, the next one's right here over top of Stretch's head. Anybody know what this is?
It's got some type of berry on it.
All right, it's got some kind of berry on it.
I dropped it right.
If you take this and you take the leaf and you smell it, what's it smell like, Stretch?
Man, I don't know what that is.
What's it smell like?
What is it?
No.
Is it black?
It's not black.
Anybody have any ideas?
It's got a pit in it.
What's that?
It's got a pit in that berry.
Almost smells like freaking Lysol or
All right,
Pine
some
Sol.
people think it has a citrus smell to it. I've heard some people say they think it smells like black pepper. I don't get the black
I
pepper
can
smell.
see the black pepper.
right.
That's the power of Pine Sol, baby.
This
right
is
there.
called, this is spice bush.
Spice Bush.
Lindera benzoin. Lindera benzoin in the Lauraceae family. So this is in the same family as sassafras. We very commonly find it here along streams, in hollows where it tends to stay moist. This is basically the growth habit. It's basically a bush, hence the name spice bush. It's very aromatic, and it's also dioecious. So that means there's male plants and there's female plants. What's this one?
The female.
Female, because it has seeds on it. You can see the red droops
Yep.
that are on it. They haven't been picked off yet.
There's been a bad.
Yeah. All right. So, but this one we should commonly see Lindera benzoin in the Lauraceae family.
Please.
All right. Questions on spice bush? While we're here, third time's a charm. What's this stuff? Anybody know? What's that? No, it's got some type of parasite, I'd say, but this is the bark.
That's how the bark regularly looks?
The bark on
Okay.
smaller ones look like this, and it continues to have these corky ridges on the bark as it gets bigger.
Corky ridges. Where have I heard that
On
for?
the bark, not on the twigs.
Yeah, that was on the twigs.
Yeah, man.
This is hackberry.
Hackberry.
Hackberry, Celtis occidentalis in the Ulmaceae family. This is in the same family as elms. All right, but hackberry has these corky ridges. You can see this one, very corky when it's smaller. As it gets bigger, they're still there, but they don't cover the entire stem. We passed another one on the way in. I'll try to point it to you on the way back. It's bigger, but you can still see it. When you look at the leaves, you feel the leaf. Very similar to what a lot of our elms feel like. If you look at the base, it typically has this oblique appearing base as well, where the base of the leaf doesn't join at the same point, just like our elms that we'll look at. Very commonly find this along water as well, but it doesn't have to be along water.
No.
It does get a berry on it. That's a drupe, I guess. But the hackberry, it is a berry, or soft fruit, not an akin or not a samara like our elms. All right. What do we use hackberry for?
Never heard of it.
Not much. It does have a pretty green, yellowish green wood that's used for specialty things. It cross grains like our elms, so it's not hard to dry, so we don't use it for high quality things. But you will see it for lower quality specialty uses. All right. But hackberry. Wildlife will eat the fruit, but it doesn't produce seeds all that reliably. All right. Questions on hackberry? Celtis occidentalis in the Ulmaceae family. Oblique leaf base, serrated margins. A little different branching pattern than some of our other leaf veination pattern than some of our elms. Questions? Who's your next new one? Opposite or alternate?
At the maple.
It's a maple. Which one is it?
Sugar.
How do we know it's sugar? We're red.
Longer than wine.
Well, hang on. The lobes.
The number of lobes.
U-shaped lobes.
U-shaped lobes tells us that it's sugar. Of course, I didn't pick a very good one, but typically with these sugars, they're going to be taller than they are wide. That one there's not very good because it was a shady one.
Sugar maple.
It is sugar maple bean.
Alright, let me get a leaf.
See, it's taller
Then it is wide.
than it is wide. Acer saccharum.
So you're just looking at these.
In Acer AC.
These are the U.
These are the lobes, and sugar maple has U's. All right, right here, they're U's. Sugar has a U in it. Sugar maple has U-shaped lobe. Has entire margins. They're smooth. There's no teeth or anything on them. All right, yes.
Oh, I got one for you.
All right.
Oh, wait, what's this? This is spider web?
Yeah, insect web of some kind, yeah. All right, of course the fruit's still Samara, but whenever we looked at Norway and we saw that they were very linear, they kind of look like that duck's kissing thing I mentioned. This one's very much not linear. They're more like a horseshoe shaped. All right, I don't see any on there at this point in time.
She said the Samaras are horseshoe shaped?
Yeah, the Samaras will be horseshoe shaped. U-shaped, maybe not horseshoe, horseshoe. All right, what do we use sugar maple for?
Syrup.
Maple syrup? What else?
Sap.
That's what the syrup comes from.
U-shaped lobes.
State Logan.
Yeah. What's that?
Yeah.
State tree. Yeah. This is one of our high quality hardwoods. This is one of the, they'll use it for veneer. We use it for lumber. You'll see furniture and cabinets and all kinds of stuff made out of maple. There's one other thing that maple's pretty commonly used for too. It's very impact resistant. It's very hard.
Hey, I don't have much.
Now it's been used for baseball bats. It's kind of the new thing in the baseball bats. What else? Yeah, I don't know about golf clubs.
Baseball bats.
Flooring. Flooring, because it's impact resistant. There's two particular flooring instances where we use it. Basketball floors and bowling lanes. Basketball floors and bowling lanes. It's impact resistant. All right. You also see tool handles and some other things like that, but for the most part, that's where we're at. All right. Questions on sugar maple. Acer saccharum in the Acer AC family.
Acer saccharum.
Yeah. The other thing with sugar maple that I didn't mention, if we look at the bark, of course, keep in mind it's opposite in arrangement. The twigs are going to have, but the buds and stuff tend to be kind of brown. And the bark, sugar maple has what we call fingernail breaking bark.
I ain't gonna bite you, Jeff. Gonna bite you right in the booty.
Fingernail breaking bark. So that means if you go up and grab a hold of it, the bark, unless it's really sticking out, does not break off very easy. It will break your fingernails before the bark breaks off.
Sugar maple.
Sugar maple does, yes.
That's what any tree for real.
No, some of them have very flaky bark you pull right off. Sugar maple does not have that. Got fingernail breaking bark and brown buds.
Oh, it's a new one?
All right, here's the next new one. What is this?
Black walnut.
Walnut.
This is black walnut.
Black walnut.
Compound leaves.
Tremble leaves, thing.
Pinnately compound leaves.
Rub it together.
Remember this morning we were talking about twigs being stout? Well, if you look at these, they stay pretty stout clear to the end. They're not very small. It's also got pretty unique buds that you can look at, unique leaf scars.
Walnut.
And green things that the squirrels eat.
And what's fruit on walnut?
Walnuts.
Walnut. Walnut has what we call an indehiscent involucre. Indehiscent means it doesn't split. If you remember, we looked at the hickory and it was dehiscent. It splits open. These are indehiscent.
So you got
This is Juglans nigra. Juglans nigra in the Juglandaceae family.
It's got some pretty deep scars, huh?
What's that?
Like you gotta sit this in the sun.
Let that dry out, and the husk will peel off the outside, and then the walnut's inside. Yeah. Whenever you get it cracked open. Yeah. The husk on these things will turn your hands colors. They'll turn them yellow to dark brown. There are people that'll take them and sort of store them in alcohol and some other stuff and make a stain out of them. Make walnut stain out of the husks. Because they will turn black. They do stink. I think they smell.
You ever have black walnut milkshake?
A black walnut milkshake?
They're
No.
fantastic.
Really?
Alabama.
That don't sound too bad.
Right there.
We
that
use the-
hole right there.
The people use the husk to dye traps. Yep.
Oh yeah.
I use the husk and stuff.
All right. It's the same black walnut. You find black walnut flavor. You find black walnuts they'll put in fruit cake at Christmas time. It's the same thing. Now, English walnuts that you'll find that are light colored that you get the thing and my grandma had them on the table when you had to crack them, they're different.
I don't like it.
I love these. These are all right.
I like these here, boy.
What do we use walnut for?
All kinds of stuff.
What do we use walnut for?
Furniture, flooring.
All right, it's one of our high quality hardwoods. West Virginia does not grow the best black walnut. Black walnut tends to grow the best in deep, well-drained soils, river bottoms, so you will find it. You will find very nice.
That's probably why, because my house is like a river bottom.
Yeah. The best walnut, though, you'll find in Illinois, Indiana, along the Mississippi where it's deep, well-drained. From there, it'll grow tall, straight, very well formed. We'll grow decent walnut here, but a lot of times it's not real tall.
Ain't what I wanted to hear.
Good wildlife food, very common. We can see that. All right, questions on black walnut? Okay, here's our next new one. Everybody pay attention, be quiet, it's bad enough the traffic sound, so, but this is the next new one. Anybody know what this is?
A dingleberry tree.
I don't know what it is.
I thought it was
Man, I ain't too sure.
Anybody know what this is? This is basswood. American basswood. Tilia americana in the Tiliaceae family. All right, this one's pretty easy. Somewhat heart-shaped leaves. They're not really heart-shaped, but broad leaves. They do tend to look like they're kind of oblique, although they join at the same side. They're just very lopsided. One side tends to stick up more than the other one. Serrate margins, typically have a white back. Now, some places will break up American basswood and white basswood. I'm not too worried about it. We're just going to go with basswood. We call it American basswood. White basswood has wider leaves, and the leaves in the back are wider, more pubescent. It's Tilia heterophylla. But we're just going to go with American basswood. This is the fruit. This is a leafy bract with these nutlets. That's the fruit on black basswood. That's what it looks like.
What's it do? Hang in there until they grow and then they drop
Well,
out?
no, that's just this little bract kind of hangs down here.
Oh,
Just what
okay.
it always looks like.
All
And the
right.
flowers,
I
even
thought
with the
maybe
flower
it grew
there.
in there like a bean or something.
No. All right. This is, like I said, this is American basswood, Tilia americana, and the Tiliaceae family. There are other things. You also hear this called linden. Some places will call this linden and not basswood. There are some ornamental varieties of linden. Very common for little leaf linden to be planted. The leaves just look smaller, but they still get very similar looking fruits on them. They're a little bit smaller, but they're still very similar looking. Even when they flower, you'll see this bract and this. The bark, as you can see behind you, this one's a little more open grown. The bark a little more coarse than sometimes you'll see it. But it tends to have fairly smooth, until it gets bigger like this, fairly smooth gray, grayish, brownish, greenish bark. I mentioned this morning in class, we looked at yellow poplar, we looked at cucumber. Those two and this one have barks that look very similar. All right, when you kind of get used to seeing it, but with the fruits and the leaves, quite a bit different. All right, what do we use basswood for? Anybody know what we use basswood for? The wood in basswood is very soft. It's commonly used for carving and craft type stuff. One very particular carving aspect that they'll use this for. Anybody know? Anybody waterfowl hunt? A lot of your early duck decoys, were carved from basswood. There's still some people that carve decoys. They're high dollar carved decoys, more works of art than actual decoys now. That's what they prefer is basswood. I had a buddy that was a timber buyer, worked for a sawmill, and they would saw all the basswood into a certain size chunk and they shipped it to Eastern Shore, Maryland for duck decoys to be carved out of. All right, very soft, very easy to work with. What's that? Chainsaw doesn't really matter how soft it is. Sometimes they will, but this is more hand carved stuff, more whittling, more hand carved stuff because it's soft.
So it's like super soft.
It's very soft.
Yeah.
Like you can take your thumbnail and make a mark in it. It's very soft. Pretty common, moist, not necessarily long stream course. You will find it there. but also in coves, the higher mountain ridges, you can find it in arid areas which is kind of cove hardwoods, kind of soft. You can see right up there, not the first tree, see one right at the corner of the guardrail, that's also basswood. That's probably more characteristic of what the bark looks like. It's a little more smoother. Not nearly as gnarly as what that one looks like. Probably more characteristic of what the bark looks like. More characteristic of the bark. There's several here. Questions on basswood? Pretty common. There's a bunch of them right here. There's some down there, but we couldn't reach the leaves on, so I waited to bring up here to show you this one. Questions on basswood. Last new one for today. Anybody know what this is? Opposite or alternate?
Alternate.
Simple or compound?
Compound.
This is actually simple. If you notice, it's got short shoots. These are the fruit. These little strobiles here, they're little achenes. They'll break apart. Little winged fruit in there. All right, and if thing you'll notice on this one's a dead giveaway if you take and break it apart and you smell it. What does it smell like?
Wintergreen.
You can chew on the twigs.
What does it smell like?
It smells like wintergreen.
And what is it? What is this tree?
This is black birch or sweet birch.
Black birch, man.
Betula lenta.
Yeah, black birch.
B-E-T-U-L-A, Betula lenta in the Betulaceae family. Black birch.
I'm talking about a slim black birch.
8 or 9, yeah.
I'm just a black maple looking for black birch.
Right. This is black birch. Pretty common in the forest and the coast.
I can chew on this right here?
Yeah. You can chew on it. Yeah, chew on it. Go ahead.
Get your dip that for
The
real.
bark tends to stay pretty smooth until it gets bigger and it breaks up. It's got a lot of horizontal lenticels in it as well, just like we talked about cherry when it's young. When these two are young, they can be confused. Once cherry starts to get bigger, there's not much, not hard to tell apart. Cherry does not smell anything like this.
It tastes like
wintergreen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, for real. That
Black
good old
birch.
fine cut
Black
birch.
birch. There you can see Jess is back there looking at the bark on the thing. This one's starting to get bigger and break up a little bit. But you can see in the upper stretch of it, it's still pretty smooth. Still see the pretty coarse horizontal lenticels. All right. Now that we have mutilated this one so everybody can chew on it, that's okay. It needs trimmed anyway. All right. Any questions about black birch yet?
If we put sweet birch, is that all right?
Yeah, that's fine. Betula lenta. I mean, that's why I use scientific.
Man, that does smell just like
Some places
snow.
sweet birch, some places don't.
Yeah, it does. Huh?
You disgusting little bastard.
I got a cold, dickhead.
It sounds like he had his bowl up.
It does. I have a cold. I'm sorry. You got tissue? All right then. Right there's trees. Get you some leaves. Why would I do that? Why not just blow it on the ground? Huh? It's all good.
All right,
just caught us
any
now.
questions on black birch?
Great.
It
He's
don't
gonna
matter.
be like up and watching through it and just.
What do we use birch for? Chewing. What's that? Chewing, yeah.
Curving your tobacco
Birch
addiction.
beer.
Yeah.
Birch is used some places. There's quite a bit of birch here. It's a lower quality thing, but you get further north, we get into yellow birch and some other stuff. They'll use it quite extensively for certain things. So we'll talk about that when we get to the lecture.
Can we make some?